Guitar strings are a divisive topic amongst most players, and as with most topics of this nature, everybody treats their opinion as gospel and will not accept anyone else's. Some players try everything on the market and then settle for the one they enjoyed most, and some people buy one brand for their first ever guitar and then stick with it because they don't care. And I sort of find myself in between those two categories. Because the first set of strings I ever purchased was a set of Ernie Slinkies. And I've been around the block at this point, but for some reason all paths have led back into the warm embrace of Father Ernie. But the one string brand I completely dismissed up until now has been D'Addario. Back when I was still heavily experimenting with guitar string brands, I tried every single set of D'Addario XL and NYXL strings I could get my hands on, and I hated all of them. D'Addario makes some fantastic products. We've established by now how good their pedal boards are, their auto lock straps are an absolute game changer, but their strings have never been for me. And so I went about my life with this bitter taste in my mouth from trying NYXL strings, and if somebody asked my opinion on D'Addario, I'd say I don't like them very much. And that was true. But then relatively recently, I got to talking with the lads over at D'Addario a little bit, and they sent me a couple of sets of their newest line of strings to try, the XS line. The point of that package they sent me wasn't actually to get me to try these strings at all, but rather to get the Expand pedal board into my hands for this video that I made a couple of months ago, but they threw in a couple of sets of strings anyway. And I went into the testing process entirely biased and expecting to hate them, quite frankly, because I'd hated every other set of D'Addario strings I had ever tried. And I loved them. Now, before we go any further, I'd like to make it very, very clear that this is not a sponsored video and I'm not being paid for it. I specifically refused payment for this video even though it was offered, because that would turn it into like a paid review, which is not supposed to be. It's more so meant to be the tale of an unlikely love story. That being said, D'Addario have been nice enough to send out a box of XS guitar strings for me to continue using free of charge, but half a box of free guitar strings is hardly going to cut it for me to lie to you. So, why was I such a loyal Ernie Ball customer up until now? Well, Ernie Ball in a lot of ways is like McDonald's. It's by no means the greatest in the world, but it's fine, it's affordable, it's available literally everywhere, and it's the same across the board. So if consistency in the way your guitar strings feel is what you care about most when buying them, Ernie Ball might be the way to go, simply because there is a 0% chance of walking into a guitar store anywhere across the globe and not finding a set of Ernie Ball Slinkies. But they also don't last crazy long, and they don't taste that good. D'Addario, a lot of players do swear by, but as I said, just never really convinced me until very, very recently. So let's go over why I really don't like the XL series, and why I do like the XS series, and what made me want to daily drive those now. It is a bit confusing, but for example, the NYXL strings always felt strangely coated to me, even though one big selling point is the durability, in spite of the fact that they are literally uncoated. But at least they felt like what my head imagines a slippery coating to feel like, in that I'd compare it to playing with wet hands or something. Meanwhile, the sound was always awfully dull to me. I would attribute this to the different cores they used for the NYXLs, but that is also just me guessing. I don't actually know that. And then the XS series, even though these are coated, felt the opposite way. Not slippery at all, not dull sounding, but insanely long lasting. And they allow me to share players' circle codes with my followers on Instagram. If you do collect players' circle points, make sure to follow me on Instagram, because regardless of what it is that D'Addario sends me that I unbox, I share the player circle codes in my Instagram story every single time. Okay, price. These strings are anything but cheap. I can get 3 sets of Ernie Ball regular Slinkies for the price of one of these. However, in my experience, this does outlive about 3 sets of Ernie Ball regular Slinkies, making it a bigger upfront investment that evens out over time. Typically, regardless of manufacturer, your annual string budget should stay around the same, and just become a matter of how many sets you buy throughout the year with that money. So you can either change Ernie Balls once a month, or pay $18 for one set of strings and not worry about changing for the foreseeable future. And especially if you're using bridges like a Floyd Rose or a Bixby, which are notoriously annoying to restring and set up, expensive strings that last longer can be a huge time saver. So in conclusion, in my head, D'Addario have now completely redeemed themselves with these new strings, which is something I never would have seen coming had they not sent a couple of sets alongside the pedal board that I needed for a different video. Which to me is just a lesson that you should continue to try new things, instead of dismissing an entire company based on the fact that their most popular product at one point in time didn't appeal to you. I mean, these I still don't like, but these are my new go-to. So really, that's all that I had to say. thank you for watching. Thanks to Dario for, being cool and sending me strings and sending me stuff that I need for videos, and I love you so much. They deserve this video more than anything. Even though it wasn't paid for, it's just something that I felt like should be out there. If you haven't tried these strings, I definitely recommend it. Links in the description, links to follow me on Instagram as well. If you're a Player's Circle code collector, you can watch my most recent video here, some other video over here, subscribe somewhere down there if you feel like it, hit the bell, leave a comment, and I will see you around.